up guys, welcome to another gardening video on my channel. My name is Donko. Guys, I'm back. I'm back. I know some of you guys have been like, hey man, Karabo, where are the videos? Where are the gardening videos? So I'm back with the videos, and I actually have a lot to show you guys. There's been a lot of growth in the garden, and I'm really excited to show you guys like the progress that's been happening. The first thing I want to do is, you can see we have some tomatoes here, right? So I want to show you guys, if you don't know, how to prune and how to trellis tomatoes. And throughout the video, I'm gonna tell you why it's important to actually trellis your tomatoes and prune them. Yeah, so if you like the video, like, subscribe, do all those beautiful things. And yeah, man, let's get into the video. So as you can see here in this, from this tomato here, it's running wild. It's just running wild. There's a lot going on at the moment. As you can see, there's just a lot. So this one is a bit more mature. So I'm going to show you how to trellis on this one, and I'm also going to show you how to trellis on a not so bigger one, not so mature one. So this one, yeah, here. So I'm going to show you on this one as well, just so that people might be at different stages of their tomato growth and might not know how the tomato looks when it needs to be trellised and how to trellis it at different stages. So yeah, man, I think I'll give you those two examples. So first thing that needs to happen with the tomatoes is get rid of the bottom leaves. So as you can see with here, there's some bottom leaves touching the ground, and tomatoes don't like to touch the ground because they're very susceptible to diseases. As you can see here, already this one, it's not even touching the ground, but you can already see that this one is already starting to do this, and this is a sign of blight. So they don't really like touching the ground. So it's either blight or leaf rot, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of these diseases. So it's just coming from the fact that they're not being trellised. So the best thing to do is all the leaves that are at the bottom, get rid of them, so that you don't have to deal with them touching the ground. So you see here at the bottom, there's some leaves here. We take those out. So now I'm sure if you've gardened for a period of time, you know what suckers are. So if you look here, this plant here, this one here, this is called a sucker, and you can recognize it by it being in the groove of like the main stem, which is this, and then a plant here. So you can see it in the groove of these two, a sucker here. So the reason why you should take suckers out is because suckers, they take energy from the main stem and they distribute it basically into their own tomato. So these suckers, they can turn into their own tomato plant. But now the problem with that is that it takes energy from the main stem, and it reduces the actual productivity of the tomato itself, you know. So if you have a sucker that's like well grown, pluck it from the tomato and then plant it in its own separate place, and tomatoes will grow from the sucker. So the advisable thing for you to do if you want more productivity of tomatoes is to take out the suckers so that the main stem has most of the energy. Okay, so we're gonna take this sucker out and just put it there. And then also now these leaves here, they're very close to the ground. I don't really like how close they are to the ground, so I'm just gonna pluck this one. and also it's your own preference, hey. But if it's touching the ground, I would advise you to take it out, but it's also up to you whether you want to or not. Here's another example of a sucker. So if you look here, here's the main stem of the tomato, right? And then we have this, can you see this this node that's in the middle of this leaf, that's in the middle of the stem and the actual leaf here. So if you can see, there's a middle stem here, and this will grow into, and it's already starting to grow some tomatoes here, as you can see with these here. So you don't really want that, because now it's taking energy from the main stem. So you can identify it very easily if you just follow the main stem, and then you look at the leaves, and then something that's in between the groove of those leaves, that's a sucker. Even this leaf here, this one over here, you can see that it's also starting to grow some tomatoes here. And this one you can also take it out, because it's not really following the main stem, right? So you just want a single stem. And even if you can see here at the back here as well, there's another one here. Can take that one out. So now, as you can see, now it's more of a single stem. Now there's an actual, so now this plant here, it's touching the ground. You can see it's touching the ground. We don't want that. Take that out. And now this sucker also, we don't want this, because it's taking energy from the actual main stem. You take that out as well. And now, as you can see, now it's more of a main stem, right? You can see now there's just more of a direction with the tomatoes. So as you can see, another one, we have another sucker here. And another way that you can tell if what's the main stem is if you just hold it up in this way. If you hold it up like this, where is the most upward direction, and then where are the sideways direction? Sorry for this leaf is in the way. But you can tell which way is upward and which leaves are actually going sideways. So as you can see, this one here, it's branching out here, and it also has its own as you can see, it's starting to grow its own tomatoes here. And now this is basically taking energy from the main stem, and it's going to reduce how much you get from these ones here, as you can see here. So what we need to do is take it out. So look, as you can see already, this one, you can literally take this, obviously cut it better than I did here, but you can literally take this and put it in its own you can put it in its own section, and tomatoes will grow from there. You know, I think maybe take it when it's not blossoming as of yet, because it might be too late, but any earlier than that, I think it could be fine. Also remember to remove the bottom leaves if you do that. So just do it like that, and then you'll have your own tomato plant again. So yeah, I think that basically summarizes the pruning of the tomatoes, and then now we'll just get into the actual trellising of it. So basically, trellising is just a method to keep the tomato upright and to keep it from falling down. And as I said again, why you don't want your tomatoes to be falling down is because they're gonna be very prone to diseases when they are on the ground. So the trellising is a good method just to keep everything upright and just to keep everything growing upward in an upward direction, so that it's also easier to maintain. So basically what you would do, you would take a plank, relatively try and get a tall plank, just so that now the tomato doesn't overgrow the actual plank itself. And then what you would do is just plant it next to the actual tomato, not too close that it disrupts the roots, but close enough so you can either use a rubber band, you know, something that's just gonna tighten up the to put it close to the tomato. If you're gonna use something like cable ties, I would say just don't get it too close to the tomato, because you don't want it to now scrape the actual stem of the tomato. So just be careful with that. Just, you know, have a bit of space so that when the wind does blow, that it's not scraping against the cable ties. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You just stick it in there, not too close to the stem, and you just tie it close to the tomato. The reason why I'm not actually gonna trellis this one is because it's close to the trellis that I actually did with for the grapes. So I'm just gonna let that hang on to this, hang on to that, and it will grow up like that. So it will, you know, there's a bit of a balance there. But I think if it gets a bit tougher, then, if, you know, with the tomatoes growing and stuff, what I'll do is I'll trellis the tomato plant. But yeah, so far it's looking nice. It's looking balanced, and I'm not sure if you can see it in amongst the roughage of all of these things, but yeah, man, the tomato is looking great. That's not too mature. So this one, it's pretty simple, and you can see the direction of the tomato already as is. So what you would want to do is just take away all these suckers at the bottom, and then you see these bottom leaves already, they're starting to dry up. Take them out. Even these suckers here, there's a lot of these bottom leaves here. Take them both out, and just keep following the line, you know, follow the line of the stem. Follow the line of the stem and you should be fine. Hey, these leaves are getting in the way. So yeah, and then now there's an actual direction, and there's no, and now you can actually see the direction of the tomato, and there's not a lot of hindrance from the other leaves. Yeah, so it's also important, don't take off the top leaves, because you still want them to be able to access the sun as well. You still want them to be able to access the sun, so it's important to still keep the top leaves, but once they start getting to the bottom, take them off. That's pretty much it for the pruning. And in the trellising, it's exactly the same. Get a trellis that's bigger than the tomato plant, and yeah, just tie it next to the actual plank. Yeah guys, so that's basically how to trellis and prune tomatoes, and why you should be actually trellising and pruning them. At first, you know how natural and organic I like to do my things. At first, I actually didn't trellis my tomatoes, and last year I saw how short the lifespan of my tomatoes were when I didn't trellis, because they would be laying on the ground and then they would catch diseases. And last year they caught tomato blight, and that ended my season very, very quickly. So I really think that it's important to actually trellis and prune your tomatoes, just to increase the lifespan, increase the productivity, and to also reduce the amount of diseases that the tomatoes can catch. So if you want to grow your own tomatoes from the actual suckers that you plucked, it's very easy. Just take it, just take that stem, and then dig a hole wherever, a shady spot, sunny spot, preferably a shady spot when you are actually transplanting it. just so that it's not too harsh on the tomato. And then you can put it as deep as you want, because tomatoes, you see that they have these, so these tomatoes, they have these hairs, they have these little hairs that they turn into roots. So it doesn't really matter how deep you plant the actual tomato. Just make sure that the top leaves are not covered. So maybe from until here, I would say from where my hands are, you can actually plant it, and then just let it do what it has to do. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna be posting a lot more garden stuff because a lot is growing, and I'm gonna take you on a little tour. So hopefully if you like that, there'll be another video of me showing you what's growing in the garden. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope everything is growing. Let me know what's growing for you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Love, peace, grow something. Much.